Today is Tuesday, November 1st, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Welcome to the Snark Tank, where three of the world's elite beer entrepreneurs get pitched on the latest and greatest ideas in the beer world. Up first, we have Mr. Is Wonderful. Next, Barbara Corkincage. And me, your narrator slash snark master, Mark Cubano Sandwich. Snarks, how you doing?
Feeling good.
Snarky as hell.
Good. Let me get this music coming down. All right.
Wow,
Feeling
that was
snarky?
It's a great fade.
Thank you.
A flawless fade, as they all have been and always will be.
That's how I made my first million.
Fading.
Fading. Yeah, I made my first
Were
million
you
fading.
naked in your office while you made your first million, like the real Mark Cubano Sandwich?
I
was
don't
his first
understand the
bill.
real part, but
No,
yes,
he
I
was-
was.
He got
I was.
naked in his office and watched his valuation go up to $1 billion.
Oh, that sounds
I
sane.
mean, who among us?
That's a sane thing to do.
Yes, billionaires are all very sane.
How are you, mister?
Great.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. You're doing well.
Mm-hmm.
Good. I'm glad
Ready
to hear it.
to make billions or crush some dreams
Yeah. Or both at once.
at the same time.
Yeah, that's the best. When you can do both at once, crush someone
True
else
capitalism.
while making $1 billion.
You know I'm a big capitalism guy, so
All right, we've got work to do here. Barbara, how you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Thanks for making. I know you were heavily booked, but thanks for booking some extra time on the jetway to make sure you got in here. And
You know, we're booked and blessed. I
Yeah.
gotta say.
yeah,
What's on the BSN these days, the Beer Shopping Network?
Oh, these days I'm getting pitches left and right, hot pitches, cold pitches, lukewarm pitches. But today
Thiolized pitches.
I'm looking
Yep.
for something hot like a thiol pitch. Maybe some
Some Kvike level
some
ideas.
spike level, something that moves quick and fast. Quick and fast, both of those at once.
Well, guys, time is money, so I think we should get right into it because any moment that I'm not making billions of dollars on beer startups is it's time wasted for me that I will never get back. So
Same.
I think we should introduce our would-be, will-be, wannabe entrepreneur.
Nice. Thanks for the product placement of the will be.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
And one of the things that I like, it's something I picked up from my favorite piece of media out there. It's a podcast I
News.
listen to. No, it's a podcast I listen to where they always have guests introduce themselves. So I like to do that as well. So guest, why don't you introduce who you are and we'll take it from there.
Thanks for having me. My name's Doug Scheisty, and I'm a
Good.
Chicago.
I like you already.
Yes, I'm a Chicago resident and a longtime beer fan who has experience working in many different industries, including tech and distribution. But I've just been, following the beer industry from afar for quite some time. But what I've been noticing is from listening to popular podcasts recorded here locally is that there's often debate around what does the word innovation mean and what constitutes innovation. Is a new beer of a familiar style an innovation? Is a 19.2
No.
can of a Imperial IPA an
Yes.
innovation?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's not what I'm here to talk about today.
Okay.
All
Well,
right.
no need. we
So-
just answered that question.
I will not invest.
Okay.
So today we're trying to, face the fact that this industry could use a few new business models that are a little unfamiliar, a new way to find, discover, enjoy beer, find new beers, and kind of rekindle that love of beer. So that's what I've been asking myself as an entrepreneur, and that's what I could use investment from each of you here today to help me achieve. So the first idea.
Well, hold on. First things first, I got to get to know you, okay? The first thing I want you to pitch me on is, are there any beers you've had recently that you've enjoyed or ones that you're looking forward to having? That's how
we gotta.
Have
know
you ever
what
heard
kinda-
this show? Have you ever listened to this show before?
Yeah, who
What
cares
kind
I
of beer
demand
drinker
that of
are
all
you?
my
Huh?
guests.
Who cares about momentum? Talk me about beers you've had recently.
Yeah, come on. Hey, my fellow snarks are supposed to be with. That's not a very well. That is snarky. I
Pretty
take it back.
snarky. Yeah.
I mean, if he's been drinking nothing but cold saisons, can we really trust him? Do we really want to hear those
That
pitches?
man's a genius.
I've recently
Visionary.
got my hands on some Hoplark, which is a
Snark.
NA alternative company out of Boulder, Colorado, because I'd been hearing so much about their take on hoppy sparkling waters and
their hop take.
these kind of double dry hopped waters that they make, which as just a normal sparkling water fan, as an
Double
IPA
drop
fan,
water.
oh yeah, they don't call it that, but it's essentially what it is.
It's
And-
double dry hop water.
Yes.
Got it.
So a lot of people, an overwhelming number of people were recommending that I try Hoplark, as I've been exploring all the different hop waters and trying to define the spectrum that they can fall upon. And this was definitely on the most intense side. And it was actually, in my opinion, quite good as taking a day off of beer, wanting that hop flavor, not just to have something fizzy in your mouth, but to also match other qualities while sticking to like 0 calories and not having any impact if you've been working out or anything like that. But you want something that kind of hits a few of those notes for you. And I was
All right.
actually pretty impressed by it.
Nice.
Thank you. I'll be checking that out. I'll be looking them up, and maybe I'll invest, or maybe I'll try to short them. We'll see. For me, myself, I have a lot of times things that I really love, especially I think it happens with things I eat and drink. And Doug Scheisty, feel free to just talk about, this is a free-form portion of the show, as you all know. Things, they kind of grow on me. So things that I'm not sure about first tend to often become some of my favorite stuff. So I might not, love it. It's not love at first sip, necessarily. And we had Urban Chestnut Stomstitch on at headquarters recently. And I had it, and it was bracingly hoppy, bitter.
I'm drinking one right now.
I am
that
also.
I brought over from headquarters, and
Yeah.
certainly not bracingly hoppy right now.
I think it is. Yeah, for a Pils. I think it's, for a Pilsner, I would say it's pretty steely, pretty austere, I would say.
Okay.
And
Well, this is how we're going to agree to disagree a lot today, I think. Then.
that's fine. That's fine.
Would you invest in this Stomp?
Well, I found myself wanting more and more of it. So I've
So you're
been
looking
really
for-
enjoying the Urban Chestnut Stomstitch, I would say.
Looking for some equity, maybe.
Yeah.
Nice.
Does anyone else have beers that they would like to talk about?
Just prior to coming into the tank today, I was out at Goldfinger. Every first Tuesday, they have someone drive something into a firkin, have a guest drive the tap into a firkin of something they're about a month out of releasing. So today was the Baltic Porter, and for some reason they wanted me to tap that for them.
Mr. Is wonderful. I'm not the only one that when they hear Baltic Porter, they think of you.
Right. I'm the number one Baltic Porter investor probably in the Saison space.
Yeah.
So, I was out there doing that. And
That's cool.
Drank that, and it's even a month younger than they want to release it. It tastes pretty good.
That's cool.
And all their beers are very delicious. I have a
Yeah.
bunch of them while I was out there. So
That's awesome.
not a bunch of them. I had to drive back, but Nice little 8-ounce
Barb,
tasters of a
may I
lager.
call you Barb? Or do you prefer,
I prefer
Ms. Cork and Cage?
Miss Cork and Cage, please.
Miss Cork and Cage? Nope.
Yeah, this is a
absolutely.
formal
I mean,
podcast.
we've
This
done
is
many shows, but still, let's keep it
Professional
professional.
setting. Yeah,
Yeah.
professional setting in the tank.
It's been professional so far. We'll keep it that way.
You're going to dip in the tank. You got to be profesh.
Yeah.
True.
Hold on. There's something I need to see.
Nope,
Okay,
no, you
that's
don't.
great. Nope. Good things just happen.
You don't need to like auditorily say every time you're looking away from the microphone.
Schwarber just hit a bomb.
Okay.
Big deal.
That's investor speak for
Yeah.
It's a Schwarbomb.
Schwarber.
Yeah. Yeah. 400
Anyway,
plus
so-
footer. Anyway, Ms. Cork and Cage, you were saying?
Yeah, my jet setting took me recently south of the border to to Mexico, and I got to sample some fine beers at a place in Mexico City called Lager Bar.
What are they? What type of beers do they brew there?
I believe in Mexico they call them lagers.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. I've not heard.
Really
Just
good
kidding.
stuff.
I'm drinking one right now. I know
really
all about
hope-
lagers. That was a joke.
I
Really
think,
hope they make it stateside.
did I see some Instagram posts from them just pouring beautiful slow pours of pure Stadt
Yeah.
lagers on there?
Yeah, Ashley and
great.
Bill were out, and they had a little tap takeover, and everybody was just clamoring for slow pours. But I was soaking up the local lagers.
Nice. What was the best local lager you had?
So Lager Bar is run by a brewery out there called Hercules, and they had one called the Emiliano Zapateca, which was just outrageously good. Super bitter Czech lager. I had maybe 3 or 4 of them,
Nice.
Nice.
4%.
More bitter than the Stampers were drinking or less bitter?
Oh, way more.
Wow.
Way more.
Okay.
Hoppier, huh?
No, not hoppier, just more bitter.
More bitter.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it.
Well,
Anyway, what's that? Okay. Well, you know what that means. It's time to get to it. We got to dive headfirst into the deep end, baby. I'm talking about the Snark Tank. So I think you were about to, you were trying to interrupt me earlier when I was going to ask you about what beers you've been drinking.
Mr.
but-
Shiesty, let us know what you brought to us today.
Okay.
Thank you again for your time. I've got a handful of ideas for you today. This first one, though, is going to require the most patience. Patience in hearing the whole multi-year plan of this pitch, but it's also going to require a little bit of patient money, as friend of a show, Dan Pichet, might say.
Smart man.
The reason is because this is a application for the smartphone. And as you know, an application for a smartphone, like many tech companies, it begins with building a user base first before achieving profitability. So as you hear this, understand that the goal in years 1 and 2 is to build a critical mass of users, offer them something before you turn on the money-making machine later. So we'll get to that.
I call that sticking the hook deep into the meat is what I call that.
Or blitz scaling.
Exactly. So how do we get people to download and use our app? We have to provide them a service of value. So when you download this app, which is, by the way, called BPS, like GPS navigation, this is BPS navigation. So this
You have
is
that
this is a
trademarked?
beer positioning system. We have a utility patent pending right now.
Got it. That's good.
Yes. So what the goal of BPS is to help fans of beer find the beer they're looking for, and when they're traveling, make sure that the beers that they're seeking out are beers that they can't find at home. So let me just walk you through an example here. So right now, it's very hard to know what breweries distribute here in Chicago. You could go to one store and see what you see on the shelf, but when you want to answer the question, do they sell beer? Oh, cool. You recommend this friend in Florida? You recommend this brewery in Massachusetts? I wonder if they sell here in Chicago. A lot of times finding out that answer is very painful. Websites aren't updated. There's no easy way to find out. But there are some sources out there that do have sales data, and all you really need is to know by brewery what zip codes they have an account in. That data is out there. It's a matter of accumulating it, pulling all these breweries behind the scene so that you have this handy tool that can, just for starters, just in step 1, phase 1, say, can I buy this beer here? And then once...
Sorry, keep
Let
going.
me add
Yeah.
one more layer to it, and then we'll get to a first round of questions.
Oh, already
Because-
dictating. Okay.
Once
I like
you have
that.
Snark's call the shots.
once you have that, you're of course going to set up a little profile and just say where my hometown is, and then say I travel to Los Angeles and I want to seek out some new breweries. I want to see a list of the breweries available, but I want to knock out the breweries that I can get back at home. So I want to make sure the beers that I try are beers that I don't already have access to at
Sure.
home, because that's
The only
not as
ones
fun
that
when
are
you're traveling.
Unique to that
So-
area.
So, when you have all this data behind the scene of just beginning with what beers are available in this town I'm in, this zip code I'm in, if you want to get really specific to the number, that's step one of what this is going to be able to offer.
Okay. You had a question,
Do you have
Mr.
more?
Iswas
I don't
Nerfel?
want to interrupt. Do you have more about this?
I do.
Yeah. I'll
No,
let him
but
finish his-
I want to
I'll let him
interrupt.
finish his pitch.
Oh, okay.
I'll keep going here. So now let's say that there's a brewery that, this is where we get into the future revenue streams. You'll get the hint at this. Let's say there's a brewery I check. Are they in Chicago? Because my friend recommended this to me. No, they're not. When I get that notification that no, they're not, there'll be a little button that says, would you like us to tell you when they are? And you could say, yeah, you can send me a little push notification on my phone if this brewery all of a sudden becomes available. So now you're probably going to see where I'm getting at with this. All this search history, what people are looking for, where they are located, who are searching for these breweries, that data is being collected, and that can become useful. A brewery who's considering markets, again, this tool is not out there. So a brewery considering which markets to look at, it might be useful to know where is their beer being searched for the most, and where do I have the most opportunity to, when I get to that market, is there 5,000 people who I could get to their smartphone and say, hey, guess what? Other half is now in Chicago, and maybe some details like it's going to be available at the Beer Temple, the Open Bottle, Beer Cellar, Beer Miscuous, on down the list, and Binny's for a limited time. So you now have the ability to reach out to, this is where you get to years later, the revenue stream of offering the ability to get in touch with these people who are happy for you to get in touch with them because you're giving them the information you want. And now you have a way to get started. You have the ability to choose a market more intelligently by where there are the most people looking for your beer. And you have a way to get them some information on, hey, now the beer just arrived, the beer's hitting stores today. And you have the ability to let them know to get some of that instant pop and pull for your beer.
Okay.
How, Matt, it's a question portion open then.
Sure.
How granular is your your ability to tell people where beer is?
My thought is that we start simple because there's, depending on who you count, there's 9,000 odd breweries. So we focus on the simplest layer of data of just, is this brewery distributed in this market? So for any brewery that's just a brew pub that doesn't distribute at all, it's a no anywhere except the town that they're in. So you can cover quite a few thousand right away just by saying no to every zip code except the zip code they're in. And then you get a much smaller list of let's call it somewhere in the probably 3,000 to 5,000 range of beers who, maybe even less than that hit at least a store shelf outside the zip code of where their location is. And so the idea is to not try to get in like feature, Chris, you might be familiar, like getting too into all the features
Who are you talking
of what this could be, Mr. Cubano.
Thank you.
Of all the features this could be, because there's a whole long list of a whole roadmap of features to layer on, such as ratings, such as the actual location of every retailer. But we're trying to be realistic here of just the zip codes where these beers are sold.
Do you think there's enough demand in the end consumer to download an app that tells you whether or not a beer is distributed in your region versus where they can actually get it in order to be able to blitz scale and push out, like go and get the beer from other half now,
And
when it's just like it's available in Chicago? Like, how do you bridge the gap between it's distributed here now and you can get it at these stores? 'Cause for me, the value in this business is you can get it at these stores, and there's live inventory of like,
Right.
or relatively live inventory.
Totally. That's probably like a few years down the line on the roadmap. But again,
but who's downloading this
solve-
app if they can't do that, right? You're only getting the very dead center of the craft beer consumer.
You'd basically be combining every beer map of what state, but even getting more specific to state, getting down to the small town. You'd basically, if you could solve that initial problem, you'd make a free app that lets you put like every brewery's beer map into one small tool. I don't know who wouldn't download that for free, especially if it could just answer a few basic questions while traveling. I live here, I'm going here, and show me what I can get here that I can't get there.
And you may have already mentioned this. There's a very important beer pong game happening that I've been splitting
in
my
the tank.
attention. Yeah. How does the sales data get into the app? How do you get that information in there?
There is a company that would be a great partner for this. They are a company that aggregates a lot of the, almost all of the distribution data.
Like an IRI or an
But
Nielsen?
it's called Vermont Information Processing, VIP. Friend of
yes.
us show, Don Bixel, is a partner of theirs. They get major data on the beer.
He knows a lot of people.
Yeah, every case going from a distributor
Todd.
to a retailer.
Never heard of that
This
guy.
company has that data of the name of the brewery and what retailer it went, meaning what zip code they're in. You'd be asking for like some kind of a partnership with them.
Or paying for the data, right?
Right.
You'd be paying for it, yeah.
Potentially.
Okay.
Then there's going to be a list of breweries that self-distribute, and those are ones where you make this tool so well built, and it's got all the breweries that distribute covered, that you'd probably need to do some outreach or set up
Yeah.
a way they can claim their page to then control. They can just do like a dump of all their retailers. All they need is every unique zip code, and they can just like paste it in as a one-column Excel file, and boom. they're
Let me
covered.
interrupt you right here, and thank you very much.
Yes.
I appreciate all that information. So a couple questions I have, or thoughts I have, concerns I have even,
Sure.
are, some of the most highly sought-after breweries that I have made billions on
As
are
was.
like them. Yep, about to make a billion. Haven't yet.
Definitely about to.
Yep, about to.
Yep.
Been saying that for a while, but anyway, still about to.
Takes time.
And but they're small, They're the little guys, the most hyped breweries. I specialize in hyped breweries. It's kind of where my natural inclinations lie. And how reach out to them might be hard because they're the ones who may need it the least, at least at first, something like that. So, and then if it's an incomplete data set, I would see that as potentially a problem. Do you see that being a problem?
I don't, because I believe most of those breweries don't distribute.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about a Treehouse, I know the 4 zip codes of their 4 locations, which are the only places you can get their beer. There's going to be some manual work. I'm not saying this
Okay.
is 100% machine, but I'm saying that the list of breweries that would be the anomalies is researchable. You get a couple interns in, and you can fill in the gaps.
They better be good. I
of
mean,
the
they
one
better
you need.
have long beards coming out of their neck.
Yes. So I don't think it's an insurmountable list of breweries that are, let's say, hyped, that wouldn't give me the time of day, that also distribute too. This is
Sure.
a tool to help them, help consumers find their beer. It's a pretty small ask of what you would need from them. The zip codes where your beer is sold is not a big ask.
So for Ms. Cork and Cage, Mr. Cubano, and myself, what tier of brewery is this most specifically for? Can you name a couple of breweries that might be in this tier?
This is for every brewery.
Got it.
That's pretty broad.
Okay.
There's a lot of people that have no idea where Yingling is distributed. There's people that think Yingling is nationwide. There's people think that Yingling is only available in Pennsylvania. Yingling's available in 24 states. Many don't know where those are. These
So
are
this is for
questions that
Yingling.
come
So
up.
what does this provide to
But I'm just
Yingling
saying
that
that's the
VIP
biggest-
doesn't?
Does this provide to you?
What does this app provide? If it's for them, if it's for the breweries, what does this app provide to Yingling
This tells
that
it-
VIP doesn't?
This tells a consumer that hears about Yingling for the first time whether Yingling can be found in their town, at town they're in, whether they can tell their friend, hey, have you tried Yingling? No, what's that? Let me see if it's, what's your zip code again? Let me see if it's in your town.
Got it.
It is, or it isn't. But you can let them
Okay.
know when it becomes available.
All right.
How will you monetize this?
So, one easy layer is the notify me when this beer becomes available, and then it's so there's the
breweries will pay for you to push out advertisements to people who have been looking for
Yep.
that type of beer in a
That,
geographical
that's one
area.
option. There's also the analytics of who is looking for our beer. Is there a state we're
So
not thinking about where our
Selling
beer?
data from
through-
people who have been looking.
Yeah.
What do you think is the most critical thing that needs to occur for the success of your app of BPS?
I believe the accumulation of the data and it being accurate. So I believe
Got it.
there's some upfront work to get that data populated, and then the ongoing maintenance of that. It's not going to run itself. You're going to have a few employees keeping a watchful eye on, moves of breweries opening up new states, being at the forefront. But once you you make it so a brewery wants to control their data, they want to be able to add on states. Once you have the main contact, you can be in touch with them of any time, like send out occasional reminders without being overbearing, but like once a quarter, send out an update if you've entered any new markets. Don't forget to update your page of where your beer is available. But again, VIP could be giving you this periodic feed of all the zip codes of every brewery that uses distribution, which gets you a nice coverage, especially on the volume of beers, not necessarily checking the box on every brewery, but a lot of the most well-known breweries use distributors. There are exceptions in the hype, local, small, niche world, of course.
Is there an interactive component that keeps the end user who's not being sold to, but we need to make this valuable, engaged? Are they rating beers on this? Are they talking to their friends on this? Like, how do we keep them there other than being like, well, I want beers that aren't here?
Well, I think, Mike, you hit on the future because,
Mister.
This, yes.
Like
think-
Mr. Wood is wonderful.
You hit on some of the future revenue streams, which is getting down to the more granular detail of where can I actually buy this beer. And again, I'm trying to crawl before I walk here by offering a service, getting users on with something to get this going, offering a service that nobody else has taken the time to do, but is a tool that any beer drinker would gladly have on their phone at no cost. And
It sounds like something that's valuable to someone who wants to sell people beer, but not to people who really want to buy beer, to me.
And I'm gonna
So, like,
ask-
how do you keep people on there and engaged with it?
Mike, I got to tell you, I got to disagree because I'm making content on TikTok every day, and anytime I put on a new beer, I'm littered with comments saying, what is that? Can I get that in North Carolina? Can I get that in Georgia? And I'm like, I don't know. Everybody, they see a new beer, they want to know, can I buy that? And in a lot of cases, it's no, you can't.
Right.
Especially if it's a 16-ounce can with a label on it, there's a good chance if you're somewhere that's not here that you cannot. But it's a way
If you're
to
in
look
a
that up.
region where you can't buy that, does it link to Tavor or to some of these other like gray market
Absolutely.
places? All right.
Absolutely.
They're all about the gray market. I can already tell this app's all about the gray market. So here's another question: is I assume the end goal here is to be acquired by Untapped, right? I mean, that's the goal because that seems like the natural integration to me. So the real question becomes: how do you prevent when this takes off? And I really think it will. When this takes off, how do you prevent? How do you get Untapped to buy you rather than just create their own version with, they already have the business accounts set up. They already have all the accounts already, both user and supplier already using it. Why not to prevent them from doing it?
I think there's a reason why they haven't, and I think Untapped might be doing too many different things. And I believe that if the focus is squarely on less about ratings, which come under fire, there's a lot of people that don't use Untapped, do not like Untapped. If this has a sole focus on connecting you with beer, and this is all about recommendations, I think this can move at a much faster pace than Untapped would ever get this going with.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say right now that I love this idea. This is the best idea I've ever heard. This is a 5 bottle cap idea. I pass.
Yeah, I think the same. Like, it's a great idea. I think it needs to be worked out a little bit. I think there's a little bit of a disconnect in the product market fit as you've presented it so much so far. But I'll give you $1 bazillion for 1% of your company.
Okay. I'd like to hear from Miss Cork and Cage first.
So as a beer consumer, I don't know if you've heard of my bar, the Cork and Cage Lounge. You should visit. It's a nice place. As a consumer, I would like to know what breweries might already be signed on. I wonder if you've spoken with any brewers anywhere with this idea to see if anybody would hop on. You know, if you had someone like a Rob Todd that wanted to get involved, then maybe I would consider
I have a letter of intent actually from Rob Todd that actually arrived yesterday.
Did his lackey deliver it, deliver it for him?
How many B's, how many D's?
6 letters only.
In the lackey?
Ooh,
That's a real one.
is it notarized?
That's real.
Is it notarized?
It was notarized.
I'm in. $2 bazillion
For 1%?
for
You guys are fools.
1%.
I
mean,
can't.
listen.
And equity.
I only brought $1 bazillion, so
I would also like to be made the chief Cork and Cage officer, the CCCO emeritus.
I like it, and I'd like to offer you 2 board seats.
Wow. One for the Cork, one for the Cage.
None for Mike. Mike, I'm going
First
with
of all, who
Miss
is
Cork and
Mike?
Who
Cage.
is Mike?
Are you on a first name basis with Mr. Cork and Cage? I'm not even on a first
listen,
name
this
basis
is a
with Mr. Cork and
betrayal
Cage.
because we've been talking beforehand, and I told him my first name, which no one knows.
Well, a betrayal if you're not allowed to be doing that.
No, it's a betrayal because I was trying to butter him up. That's capitalism, baby.
True. All right, that kind of betrayal. I
And
get
he
it.
just goes to Miss Cork and Cage.
Well, listen. Oh,
Well, you know what?
He knows how to
great
butter
ideas
me
are
up.
great ideas. So
it's a great idea. So that's
and
good.
I'm sorry I
hey,
missed out on this one.
it's
I only brought $1 bazillion in my wallet, so I can't
Hey.
do anymore.
you know, like I
your
said,
crypto wallet?
5 bottle cap idea.
That's right.
I pass.
It was $2 bazillion 7 minutes ago.
All right, so let's see who we have next. Thank you,
Should we
Mr.
take a break
Shiesty.
first?
No, we're not. We're just going to go right now.
All right, then I'm just going to the bathroom.
Okay. Okay, we can take a break. Welcome back to the Snark Tank. Up next, we have another pitch, and we're going to let, as always, we're going to let the entrepreneur pitch themselves to the Snarks. All right, let's see. Who do we got here? And go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
This is Doug Shiesty again.
Oh, hey, Doug.
Security.
How are you?
How'd this guy get back on stage?
I'm back.
You've got another pitch.
I understand the
Tenacious.
BPS. The
We need that in
BPS.
entrepreneurs.
The BPS system might have been a little too big, too broad, too far out there of a time horizon to recoup your dollars. I have a new idea that's going to be. We're going to be able to get this up and running much faster. So, this is actually a bar concept. You know, beer bars have had a tough go of it during COVID, and you know, coming back, the cream has risen to the top, and but for someone new wanting to enter the bar scene,
Hold on. Are you pitching Tier Bemple? Some beer temple? Just somewhere else?
Let's see what he has to
no
say.
idea what you're talking
Never mind. All right, go ahead. Pitch your. We've had a lot of people come here pitching Deer Temple. Just
Yeah.
Beer Temple, but somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is a special place.
Tier Bemp. Yeah, Tier
Tier
Bemple.
Bemple.
Yeah. I remember that guy. I invested heavily. Made a lot of money. Anyway, I'm sorry, Mr. Shiesty. Go on. Don't let Mr. Is Wonderful throw you off.
Sorry.
So we've seen new bar concepts come about, such as the pour your own beer, which isn't for everybody.
Love it.
Some
Love
people,
it.
Some
Future.
people love it. So I'm trying to think of what could be the next iteration of what a beer bar could be. And, you know, I think to my friend Chris Quinn, for an example,
Sounds like a cool guy.
I
owner
invested
of-
in that guy.
owner
I
of the Beer
lost
Temple,
a lot
yeah.
of money.
Very handsome.
And I think about how
Great head of hair.
Chris will tout certain breweries that he's a big fan of, but that you can't get here in Chicago, like, say, a Fatheads. And we all have those breweries. Mr. Is Wonderful. What's your favorite U.S. out-of-market brewery that doesn't distribute here in Chicago, but you wish did?
Suarez.
Great example. And Miss Cork and Cage, can you give me a U.S. brewery that doesn't distribute here in Chicago, but boy, you wish did?
Beer style
I
lager
mean,
house.
does it have to be U.S. based? I travel all the time.
it would
just
help.
constantly.
It would help.
It would help. Yeah, let's go with Beer Shot.
Okay. Bierstadt, Fatheads.
No, I changed my
Suarez.
answer. Another place in Denver, Hogshead.
Oh,
Hogshead.
great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Distributing those
Logistical
casks.
issues.
That'll go really well. That's what I like about you. You're always thinking logistically.
Always.
So, let's say
Bring it on the jet.
You're
You're
a
fine.
Chicago you're hoping to be a publican, but you know, there's already established craft beer bar scene. It'd be hard to be the new kid on the block. In this day and age, you know, do we need another craft beer bar? Maybe, depending on the neighborhood. It's tough, but what could you do to really set yourself apart?
Open
And-
a tap room.
So, you know,
Oh.
you've heard of terms like a satellite tap room of a brewery opening a second tap room in a faraway place. Those have had maybe a mixed bag of success at best. And you've heard of a food court, a place in the mall where you can have a whole sea of options to get beer you're looking for. We're going to kind of combine these into an idea for a beer bar where instead of doing what many beer bars do and is proven to be a winner, but again, wanting to do something different, instead of trying to curate a list of 16 or 20 unique beers that's always rotating and all the management involved in that, which is great, but there's plenty of those already established out there. What can you do that's different? What if you took 4 really sought-after breweries that aren't available here in Chicago, and you made a unique beer bar in partnership with 4 awesome, very desirable breweries that you can't get here, formed a partnership with them. It's really nothing formal, like legally, but you would brand, design this tap room that celebrates these 4 potentially favorite breweries of yours. And then, so let's just, for example's sake, say you have 16 taps. The idea is that 4 of them would be dedicated, almost like a permanent handle, 4 of them per brewery. You would maybe like section them off instead of having 16 in a row. Maybe they'd have a little space in between and have like attributes to each of those breweries. And then you take these 4 breweries that maybe have each their pretty different point of views, get some nice diversity in here, maybe breweries that champion a different style.
Mr. Is Wonderful loves points of view.
My favorite thing.
And you approach them by
Kelly
saying,
made his first billion.
and you approach these breweries saying, like, you know, you're probably not at the size where you're looking to establish distribution in Chicago. It's competitive. It's like not a great, you know, it's not going to be a winning situation. But if we could keep it really simple, partner with a very small distributor where all you're doing is keeping these 4 draft lines going, and ideally you have a to-go, you're a beer bar that can also sell to-go, you're getting the newest releases, and you time it so that you have, like, let's say 2 or 3 of their regular beers on, maybe let's say like 2 of their year-rounders always going, you have a seasonal that's rotating, then you have a 4th that's just like their most special stuff. And they're always going to want to give you their most special stuff because you're a bar in this faraway place that's dedicating a quarter of the whole beer bar to this brewery. So you kind of simplify your model in a way by having these like 4 key relationships. And then guess what? If it's not working out with one, if it's failing, there's a lot of other breweries out there that have now seen this that would probably love to have 4 tap handles. in Chicago at this bar doing this cool, unique thing that's, in a way, there's some parallel to what District Brew Yards is doing here. But what they're doing is different. They're brewing their beer.
Right.
This is taking like a very well-known brewery that you can't find here and probably doesn't have intentions of coming here. But if you created this simple relationship, partnering with a small to mid-sized distributor that could handle a smaller relationship like this, who would say no to this? Mm-hmm. And then it's, of course, the fun game of picking what your four were. That would depend on who the publican is. You'd get to pick and curate your four and differentiate each in your own way, so you have a nice, diverse selection.
Who owns this business?
One publican.
Okay.
And they're not getting any money from the brewery. They're just buying their kegs.
There's no.
They're maybe getting some help with, to the extent legalities allow it, with like artwork and any like, point of sale that would get hung up or decorated, whatever that can be done there, to like create a section that is a tribute to that brewery, get some signage for each. But the idea is you'd have like four like rooms almost, or four areas of the beer bar that each have like a different
their own
feel
point of view
for each of these breweries, and some tributes to the brand. You wouldn't want it to look clashy and look like a mess. You'd find a tasteful way to do it, whether it's different rooms with like a different entryway, so there was like a beginning of and an ending to each brewery's like dedicated space. But you'd find a cool way to pay tribute to them and create this unique concept for a beer bar that's almost like an outsourced satellite tap room for your four favorite breweries as the publican.
So let's say we have this tap room and we've got Hogshead, Suarez,
Fatheads, I think is who Chris was said he wanted.
And let's say Rip. We've got all four of these in one place. What's the turnover for these four? Because if these four are set up in this beer bar because the publican loves all four of them, well, it's not all that exciting that they're from out of town if they're just here all the time. So are these going to be a permanent post? Are they going to turn over every quarter, every 6 months, every year?
And are you just thinking this is going to be a one-off spot, or is this something you're trying to franchise and put in a bunch of different cities?
I think you start with one, your home base, you establish the concept, and if this is working, of course, you have the ability to make a second one on the other side of the city with four different breweries. And to answer Ms. Corkencage's question, if it's not working, it's probably not working for both sides. That means that this is no longer working for the brewery, and it's not working for the bar either. So both sides are going to want out and to establish someone new. The idea is you'd keep it new with the most special stuff from a brewery who people, if it's the only place in town they could get it, and they always have these four breweries that it's the only place you can get any of these four well-known breweries, the idea is that would stay pretty fresh, especially with a couple rotators for each brewery. It wouldn't get tired as long as it's a brewery that's that popular, like a Suarez, like a Fatheads, who has tons of Ohio people here, tons of Denver people here for Bierstadt or Hogshead.
So let me ask this. So what is there to protect? What type of protection is there from either side to kind of instill some trust in this relationship? How does let's say the supplier gets a better offer. Let's say that they become extra hype. They're doing really well on a BPS or something like that, and they open up a new market. They move into a new market, and now this beer could maybe make them more money elsewhere, they think, and they just pull out of it, even though this was a cornerstone of like the branding and everything that was put in by this poor independent retailer who's doing his best to feed his family, I'm sure.
Right. Always are.
Always are.
Kids.
So many children those publicans have. What
personally,
keeps this relationship solid when, I'm sorry, but some of our listeners may not realize that I think formal contracts, are not legal.
Right.
Technically, which doesn't ever stop me.
I was going to ask also, in states with franchise laws, how do you set up the distribution agreement so this is something that can be conducive to both sides? Because some states you legally cannot get out of a distribution agreement, and if you come into one spot, you might be stuck with a distributor that goes to that one spot forever.
Yeah, this would be for a brewery who's willing to commit to a certain distributor. I mean, there's a lot of breweries out there who would be happy to sign that they are never going to have like major distribution in Chicago. It's just not in their aspirations. So it would be more of a fit for them. And I think that's true of plenty of the breweries that would be a good fit for this. To answer Chris's question, I've never heard of a brewery.
Chris is the fathead guy? Who are we talking about here?
Marco Cabano.
That's me
Sorry.
asking that question. Yeah.
The guy watching the Phillies game.
Yeah.
What I would tell him is I've never heard of a brewery turning down 4 tap handles in Chicago. That would be news to me.
But the
to be
breweries you
something
want
that you would
are the
want.
breweries that turn down 4 tap handles in Chicago. The breweries that make us situations
Suarez.
like
I
this work are
believe-
exactly the breweries that don't distribute outside of their home market.
Do they lose
So you have to
the
make
hype?
some. You have to make some sort of deal that would be very enticing. For
Well, the
these breweries
nuance
to
would be
even
once
bother
they
sending brewery
once they
sending
make the deal,
beer.
what's the hold them to the deal?
This is
I'm all about deals here.
have you ever been to an airport brewery?
Mm-hmm.
Those breweries are not owned by the brewery.
Right.
Those are not those breweries' employees in the airport. That is this, but it's one brewery. This would be 4. This is absolutely legal. There's things you can and can't do, but it would be exactly what this.
The question isn't legality; it's desirability for the producer to.
Listen, Mike,
do
Mike,
that.
Mike, to answer your question.
So a brewery
most-
that wants to send beer to another market to have a 4 tap system, 4 taps in some place, doesn't want to have distribution there. I don't think that brewery exists. Like that a brewery that would only want to send beer for 4 taps in one spot, but
I
would never
disagree.
want to expand. Doesn't I don't think. Okay,
I would strongly disagree.
So, and then that brewery can expand into that market, right? Or
I mean they
not for a
can.
certain
That
amount of
has to be
time.
through the distributor that is
Right.
aligned with this.
And as we all know, most cities are not like Chicago, where in most cities there's a red and a blue house, and then if you're lucky, one independent distributor, and maybe one decent sized independent distributor, and then maybe a tiny someone hustling around in vans
Trying
doing
to
small
make
things. So the options. I don't think any of these breweries. I think there's plenty of awesome breweries that don't have a red or blue house in their sites ever in these owners' lifetime that would not be too worried about signing on with the one or maybe there's 2 options. And also in the case where you can't, in a lot of cases you can get out, but only for the like future value of your brand has to be paid. In this case, that's not very much money we're talking about to get out of a contract, because
Sure,
we're
but-
talking about however many kegs a month at one location. It becomes pretty much a drop in the bucket. This isn't like Ballast Point shifting from one house to another 6-7 years ago. This is
A drop in the
different-
bucket is all relative.
And then do you find this to be, I know that none of us care about legality, strictly speaking, unless the authorities are here, and then in which case we care
Of course,
very much.
litigious.
Well, yes, that too. No, I mean, if someone breaks the law against us, yeah, we sue them.
Yeah,
That's not
of
what
course.
I'm not talking about that kind of. That's
Call
the
up your
important
dad
law.
and like, sue this
Yeah.
guy. He was mean to us.
Yeah. Thanks, Dad. So
Don't be mean to us.
yeah, Mark Cubano Sandwich Senior. Did you know that I'm a junior?
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I
I
should
am.
have assumed.
Gotta
I
do
am.
your research.
Yeah, junior
It's
energy.
wonderful.
Yep.
So let's say I'm a beer
wait.
consumer.
Oh yeah, go. And then I have a question about the legality part.
Oh yeah.
Still.
I'm a beer consumer and I don't care about legality.
Yeah.
But maybe I've never heard of any of these 4 beers, any of these 4 breweries rather. Who's on the hook for getting the word out? This poor publican who just wants to bring joy to people
And feed his family.
and feed his family, his 17 children.
At least.
And 6 of them are in the hospital
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
I would say it's the same as any publican owner whose job is it to get the word out. It's the publican's job.
Mm-hmm.
It has 16 taps. In this case, there's 16 taps of 4 per brewery versus 16 unique taps. It's still the publican's job to get people there.
Sure, but I've never heard of Suarez. Why should I care about Suarez? Are we investing in this publican building their staff to be able to teach a lowly beer consumer, cork and cage lounge regular like myself about Suarez beer?
So you care about the idea of a chance to go to one location and experience 4 different breweries that you can't find anywhere else. To me, that is enough of a hook compared to every other hook that's out there. I think that's a decent enough hook that these 4 well-known breweries, and that's why I mentioned there's always a rotating seasonal, and then there's always a tap that's like whatever their most unique things. You'd have this one kind of like specialty tap.
I think for this to make sense, it has to be 4 rotating breweries that don't exist in this market. This bar always has 4 rotating breweries, not just like these 4 core breweries that have rotating beers, but it's like this week it's it's Other Half and it's Weld Works and it's.
Now you're just talking about a bar.
To me, that's too much like what we
That's
already
just
have.
a bar, yeah.
Enough of those. That's
So,
like a tap takeover.
but what's going to draw people? It's like
Exclusivity.
After the first month of like, we can now have Suarez here. Like, who cares?
I think
I care.
another
obviously,
question
but,
is,
like,
Like a lot of people
how
care.
does
I mean, this isn't for everybody.
I think
mean,
I think the novelty of new is really important for it to be like a viable business idea.
I personally think if you had a bar that had Suarez, Hill Farm, Hogshead, and Beechwood, that you would go there, Mr. Is Wonderful. And
Depends
you
on
would
how
continue
far
to
it
go
is from
there.
my house, to be honest. If it's there all the time, then it becomes how far is it from my house, and like how quickly are they getting new stuff. Like it becomes another bar, and that thing doesn't become special anymore.
I don't know if I believe you that if there was
All right, how about
Edward
you?
and your pills that you love, like a place that had that on all the time. Edward and what's the pills that you love from Suarez?
Palatine.
Palatine pills.
Yeah.
Constantly, all the time. You wouldn't go out of your way to go to that place? Come on.
I mean, honestly, if it was available all the time,
Yes.
not that often.
Okay.
If it wasn't that, if I had to go to like O'Hare to drink this,
So it isn't that
I
you like the
wouldn't.
beers, it's that they're hard to get is what's more important to you.
no.
Okay.
There's a little bit of both.
Okay. That's what it
But
sounds
like,
like.
if I had to drive out 45 minutes to get my favorite beer, I wouldn't do that every day.
Well, 45 minutes. No, not every day. Not 45 minutes. But
Okay,
I'm just
so
saying.
this is like something. So something like this has to exist, kind of by O'Hare, right? Like if this idea is like it's 4 breweries
Sure.
that you can't get in this area, it should probably exist somewhere that.
or a highly populated area like a Logan or something like that. You know, like a
What
hip
if,
area
What if though they
where the
had
kids
this
are.
this
Like me, a
Suarez,
young guy.
and you knew it was a limited engagement? That it's only going to be there for 3 months. Wouldn't you go a couple more times in 3 months?
That's
That's
what
what
he's
I
saying.
was saying. Where it has to be
Right.
the breweries
That's
has
what
to
I was
rotate.
saying
But if
earlier.
it's just like it's going to be Palatine all the time, I'll probably become sick of it, which stinks.
See, what we're trying to accomplish here, though, is more than just the beers on tap. We're trying to work in the experience of that brewery's aesthetics, that brewery's kind of storytelling,
I don't
working
think
that
you're not gonna
into
do it.
part of the room.
There's no way you're going to do it.
Can I have the mic, please?
Sure.
So each of these breweries is telling a constantly evolving story, and as someone who sets this up, you'd of course be picking breweries you're a fan of, and you'd develop very close relationships with their team, and you'd be working in that storytelling into specific events about their beers, ways to program the bar around each brewery, and again, they're going to want to occasionally make the time to do that, whether it's like a once a month thing. Maybe you can get them even on if you have a screen, like how my favorite bar, the Beer Temple, has the ability to move their board and reveal a television screen. Like you could get a interactive event with the brewery founder on
Joey
the screen,
Suarez.
where it's almost like they're in the bar, even though they're on the other side of the country, and doing things like that. That's going to be very accessible to you as the one bar championing their brand in this unique city where they have no desire to service as a regular thing, but they love the idea of sending X number of kegs per month to fulfill your draft needs as a one single pallet shipment to keep this bar unique and keep the relationship and the brand of theirs, keep the brand of theirs going in an extra competitive world, give it a small presence in one place in Chicago.
And you could also think of it as not being in Chicago. Think of it being in the whatever neighborhood in the country that it would work the most. Let me ask another question. Let's just bring it back to Chicago for hypothetics. That's a word. It is now. It is now. How do you tie the distributor to only sell to one outlet, one retailer?
They would be allocated.
Okay. Yeah, and that you can do that in perpetuity, forever, only allocated to them.
Yeah, you could do the distribution contract, so you're only giving them your brand's distribution rights over this like halo around a neighborhood, around a bar. So you would just make a really tight distribution contract. To answer your question, Mike, about getting out of a contract, you don't need this to be for the whole state. You don't need this to be for the whole city. You just need this to be this street. You have my distribution rights for this address. You can do that.
Sure.
Interesting.
And then they're only stuck to the one location. I missed making that point earlier.
Okay. Well, are we ready to? Is there anything else for the pitch? Any other questions? Are we ready to make offers or anything like that?
I'd love to know if anybody could put themselves in the shoes of a publican of why this couldn't work, or why this has this ever been attempted. I've yet to see it.
Barbara, as the foremost publican worldwide who specializes in only beverages with cork and cage enclosures.
That's right.
What do you think?
It's reading a lot to me like...
All that just because of your name, too. You've just branded it. What came first? Your love for cork and cage and you changed your name legally? Or you were born with that name and then you decided just to go all in and make your whole life revolve around your last name?
I feel like I could ask you the same about your name, Mr. Cubano Sandwich.
I actually have never eaten a Cubano sandwich in my life.
Unreal.
You
Yeah.
should. They're delicious.
They're really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're fantastic. Like 3 different kinds of pork.
I've heard. I'm sorry.
It's like a place
So
right down
I-
the street.
You were saying, though, about...
I struggle to see the concept as being very different from like a glorified long-term tap takeover. So as the foremost publican worldwide of cork and cage beers and wines sometimes, sparkling wine, nice, like to celebrate. I fail to see it beyond serving a need beyond what you could probably get away with a very large, maybe extended tap takeover at a given bar.
I think to imagine myself as a publican, dirty, child-ridden, sick child-ridden, so many children, publican. I would say I could see it working as another type of bar concept. I could see it working in perpetuity. I think you could, as long as it's you're doing the normal blocking and tackling of a bar, so it's a nice space and you have good service and stuff like that. And then the bonuses you have, like exclusive rights to like really to breweries that you are personally really passionate about. Sure, it sounds like it works to me. What I worry about is, what if as the retailer, which is what you were asking, Mr. Shiesty. Notice how I'm calling you by your name, by the way. So, how do you keep the deal in place? Like, you really have no legal tie, and you can't have a legal tie to the supplier, right? So what if they just change their mind and say, yeah, it was a cool idea, but sorry. That would worry me as a publican. But, I mean, if it could work magically, if there was some pixie dust that could be sprinkled, then I'd give it one bottle cap and be all in.
Okay.
That's how I feel. That's how I would feel if I were in that position.
Another bonus that seems attractive is, I couldn't say because I don't, I'm not a beer buyer, but how much pain goes into managing a beer list and the buying and all the meetings that have to go down to make that concept unique. It's worth it, but it's a lot of work, and a lot of that goes away with this. It's not that there's no work, but it becomes very simplified. Yes, you still have to manage if you want to have a rotating candle. There's a little bit of rotation, but boy, is it simple. You don't have to have these meetings of every brewery trying to get in here. There's just a lot of time saved that helps on the operation side of not having to worry about that, getting your uniqueness in a different way. You don't have to grease the wheels. You don't have to be the squeaky wheel trying to get the grease, to get the special kegs and all the fighting that goes on to try to, one up everybody else. So that doesn't have to exist. So
and also,
that's just a nice little bonus.
So this pitch is less of you're not looking to open this bar yourself, are you? You're just asking. Really, this is more of a. You're not. Are you asking for any money here? What are you asking for, Mr. Shiesty, with this pitch?
Let's open this.
Let's do
place.
it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Are you the publican?
Are you the publican?
We would be as a partnership.
We would be.
Yeah, I would need your expertise in the beer industry.
I'm really busy.
Way out. Yeah, I mistrust the value proposition to the customer that it's the same 4 breweries all the time, and I mistrust the value proposition to the supplier that this seems like as much work as sending 24 pallets as it is to send a pallet of kegs.
Okay. Well, I'll tell every brewery to close their tap room because it's the same 16, the same brewery on all 16 taps all the time.
I mistrust the ability to actually translate the aesthetic of a brewery to 4 different spots in the same building.
Couldn't possibly work having all the same beers of one brewery on tap at a location.
I mean, I would never go to a place
an
like
automatic
that.
failure.
I would
So
never
seems like
ever go to a place like that.
I can't argue with that.
So
yeah, but you don't have all the breweries at the same brewery at one location. You have 4 different breweries at one location.
You're
and you're saying you're going to have 4
work.
different locations within one location that are all specifically
you don't need to
the
invest,
aesthetic.
Mr. Iswasnerful.
I just don't like
Mr. is wonderful is saying why a brewery tap room would never work. And having
No,
16,
I'm saying why 4
having
breweries'
all-
tap rooms wouldn't work in the same space.
Anyway, the problem with me that I have, it's not the problem with me, I don't have any problems, is that I made all my money on brewery tap rooms putting independent bars out of business. That's my passion. That's why I got into this thing. That's where I made my money. So it would be a huge pivot for me. But that said,
As Mr. Mark Cubano.
as Mr. Mark Cubano Sandwich Jr., please.
Junior, sorry.
I mean, I would like to keep,
Decorum.
my
Decorum.
mother gave me that name, I think, to honor her. I ask that you call me by my name, which is Mark Cubano Sandwich Jr.
My deepest apologies.
Okay. Accepted. I'm thinking of it as a way of maybe tripling or quadrupling my productivity and putting other independent bars out of business. So I am in. What do you need from me? Because I'm gonna. It's a blank check that I'm gonna write. So that's what I'm offering, and I want 50% control, but it's open checkbook, so you can throw all the money you want at the biggest names in the game. I'm talking, Yingling, Cigar City.
I got
Biggest names in the game.
I gotta say, Mr. Cubano, I've been listening to these other snarks politely, but I really had my eye on you from the beginning as the expertise you could bring to this and your, interest and willing to champion other breweries and represent them through being a publican, but also helping communicate what they're all about and I think you would. I always thought you would have been the best fit. So I'm very honored and would happy to accept your 50%. And I look forward to going into business together and bringing Fatheads to Chicago.
That's the We Have a Deal music, I think. All right. We got a deal. All right, I think we have at least one more entrepreneur coming in to pitch the Snarks, and we'll be back soon.
And we're back in the Snark Tank with Miss Cork and Cage, Marco Cubano Sandwich Jr.
Mark Cubano.
I'm sorry.
Sandwich Jr.
Sorry.
It's okay.
And me, Mr. Iswusterful. And we're hearing some of the best ideas from the best beer entrepreneurs in the world.
I wonder who we have next. The first two have been great.
Yeah, please introduce yourself.
It's Doug Shiesty again.
Oh, my
Oh,
God.
hey. You look
Who are the
different. You look
producers?
different.
How'd you get... He's the only one who applied?
No, I saw the list.
We got literally no one else?
There's no one outside.
I
All right, let's get another-
saw hundreds of people lined up.
All right, well, we got Doug Shiesty. All right.
Is that the American
So-
Idol line? That happens every week.
So maybe the tech world was not the right fit for the Snarks tonight. And I also get being a publican, a lot of work involved. Maybe that's not a big enough aspiration for you. So for my final pitch of the night, I'm going to take you where those sweet dollars are, where the margins are at. We're going to go to the world of
Yes.
distribution.
Love it already.
The
Love it
forbidden
already.
Work all the money. Let's go, baby.
Let's go.
The forbidden fruit.
I wanna own
Wait. Nobody's willing to
hockey
talk
team.
about distribution. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about distribution.
We're going to do it.
Oh, time
Right now.
machine. Back
Into
to
it.
the prohibition. We can all become gangsters.
So the name of the company I'm pitching you, you know the term R&D, research and development. Our company is called R and Distro, research and distro. So
Love it.
with distribution consolidating, you open up the beer newswire every day and you're hearing about another distributor buying another, and the world is consolidating. All of a sudden, the options to market for craft beer the walls are kind of closing in. If you're not big, it might be hard to get distribution. And if you're a big distributor, as the years go by, you're still going to always want to get the next new thing that's on the rise, but you're not looking for anything small. But you're going to want something medium that's ready to be big. But how's anything going to get to a medium size without R and distro? So what we're going to do here,
Genius.
we're setting up the farm system. Like if we use some baseball analogies, in case
Love it.
anyone were watching a
love sports
baseball game
teams.
right now, we're going to be setting up the farm system for craft breweries, where we're going to get them. We're going to invest resources, but we're not after margins like most distributors are. We're after that big ticket price when we flip the brand to the big guy, because they don't have the patience to take them from small to medium. We're going to get them from small to medium, and we're going to spend all of our margin on investing on getting them there for that big, sweet payout when we take the brand to the medium level, and then we hand it off to the big guy. They're going to write us this big check. So think of like a venture capital fund. They're spreading their money in a lot of things. Not all of them are going to work out, but then all they need is 1 out of every 10 of them to really take off, and then they flip it to the big guy for the big $20 million check, and that's where we get paid. So we're very capital intensive up front. We invest in a lot of brands, but and the infrastructure to get them on the store shelves, to get them from small to medium, and then we hand them off to the big red and blue houses, but not for free. We hand them off for the sweet, sweet check. Snarks.
Do you have a name for this?
I believe I've said it twice now. It's called R and Distro.
I kind of like another, maybe like a.
Are in District Brew Labs.
I was thinking like Fluns or Bluns or Runs. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I don't know. I don't like the name. I like the concept. I think I really like that idea.
We can get some of our branding experts in. We're talking farm. Maybe like we're the farmhouse.
Yeah, definitely.
Triple A distributing. We're not the majors, and we're we're right up there saying we are not your final stop.
We're going to take them from the farm to this table
Yes.
where our steak is sitting. And the
Yes.
steak is the big payout.
I
from
love
the
it.
big
Even
distributor.
oh my
Table
gosh.
distributor.
So you're gonna need to have a lot of scouts. A lot of scouts.
A lot of scouts.
Well, I'm very open on the name. It's just an open concept right now, but
That's just
I can't get
working
there with,
title funds.
I can't get there without your expertise and of course, your $1 billion.
So what do you do? Are you a distributor? Are you a consultant? Are you an incubator?
We are a distributor that is less so built on the margins. We are built on speed and volume and the resources you need to get to where
Speed and volume of
to get
what?
on of distribution.
Isn't that what
scaling
everyone
up.
is? Of scale of selling the rights, right? The whole idea is to sell the rights, right?
That's the end game.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the
yeah.
end game.
How
But
do
in the
you-
meantime, we need to distribute your beer, and we need to get your beer into,
Right.
again, from small, like brewery only,
Yeah.
just in the neighborhood, to we need to get you across the market.
So
build
we're
your name
losing
up fast.
tons of cash,
we
right?
we need to put the work in that a giant distributor doesn't have the time or patience to with a tiny, let's say, 1,500, 1,000 barrel brewery.
Too busy
We're-
running the Blackhawks.
We're going to get you to 5,000, 10,000, where then they're ready to take over and get you to the big leagues, but not for free.
Right.
That's where the sweet check comes in.
So
That's
this is a pretty long game.
It is.
Who gets the check?
Because who knows how long
do.
it's going to
You
take
do.
these breweries
Yeah.
to
The
go.
distributor,
Oh, not the brands.
not the brands. No, of course
Oh.
not. We already sold our distribution rights as the brand to
Yeah.
them long ago.
Yeah.
Cool. Sounds like a great deal. Also, every brewery opening now needs to be in that 15 to 20,000 barrel range. That's where
Yeah.
the real sweet spot is.
Yes.
No one's hurting there right now.
Yes. Exactly. Well, the distributor is your friend.
Yes.
So
How are you different than any other distributor?
yeah, that's
that
the
has
question I
existed before.
have. That's the.
That
I
you
was
just
going to
want-
ask
you want
that.
To, you want
Thank
to grow,
you, Mr. Iswas.
You want to
Wonderful.
grow brands. That's how you're different than distributors that existed before.
Oh, no. Mr. is wonderful. So there's a lot of breweries with big aspirations, but they're really small. They want to be big, and none of the big distributors want to talk to them because they're small.
So no-
there's a chicken or the egg. They need to get medium, but how do they get medium? You need to go partner with a distributor that's part of this plan.
Yes.
They know, everybody involved understands the plan. You go to the minor leagues, you work out the kinks, they get you ready to go up to AA to single A to quad A.
Who works out
and
the
then
kinks?
The distributor.
Okay.
Our
What kinks
industry.
are you're working out for us? We
Not-
make. We
not
already.
ha-
I already.
the
I'm a
ki- the-
brewery. I
the-
make great beer.
The kinks are that you're not on any store shelves and that you're not a logistics company and you have no idea and you don't want to employ drivers and routers, and that's just not your expertise. You don't want to figure that out.
Right.
But you want to be at the scale where you're in all the local grocery stores and you're given market or neighboring markets.
Here's a metaphor
Sure.
that might help. Everyone knows the big distributors own the big professional teams, and we assume that they're making a lot of money. But what you don't know, and what I don't know, but what I assume is that the real money is in minor league team ownership. Does that help you?
No,
Does that-
it's in player development, is what it sounds like it's in.
Yes, that's what. Well,
Right.
yeah, minor leagues.
But the
yeah.
player develops.
Yeah.
I don't
Now
know-
you get it.
Yeah. But the player doesn't get paid.
Something's concerning me. Hold on.
He's getting a call from his reps at the
important call.
distributors.
So what you're saying is
Duluth
you're a
trade.
distributor that will work with breweries that other distributors wouldn't want to work with? Is that the value add?
because they're
too
too
small.
small.
They make great beer, but
Yeah.
they're too small. You want to get your beer out there, but you can't get it out there without a small distributor because that's who only wants you in the small size. You don't want to go the self-distribution route because of all the headaches. That's just not where you're good at.
Right.
You want to have a distributor that's also in it for the same thing that you're in it for, which is to get to the big leagues,
Yeah.
which takes the big.
I see it as the pitch would be from
Fish would be to be 2006 before Reyes bought every other distributor that existed.
well. How about this? Let me play advocate here. not devil's advocate, because I'm an angel investor. And
That was it a home run.
yep,
That was good.
yep, and
The joke was a home run.
yep, almost.
Almost.
It was a triple, stand-up triple of a joke. So I think what you could say is, listen, you make great beer. You've got a lot of potential. You don't really know a lot about sales and distribution, and everyone knows you don't sign on with a distributor hoping for them to be your sales team, except we are going to be your sales team. We are going to show you with all our marketing might. We're going to put together those posters. We're going to go through, and we're going to really go heavy on the salesmanship, the marketing, the branding of your brand. Really, that's what we do, and we'll work with you guys and really sell.
We don't need the day-to-day margins to work. We invest a ton in that distribution process over the top because we're in it for the check that
At
we
the
get
end.
written for the sale of the brand
Right.
upward to the major league team. This is like how a soccer player gets sold. The Chicago Fire, the MLS team, they had a homegrown kid from their youth program, became the team's goalie at age 17, was sold to Chelsea for $10 million. They wanted him to be their goalie, but they can't say no to the kid having a chance to go play for Chelsea. But they built this kid up. They had him in all their camps. They got it to see a year and a half of him play, but then they had no choice but to sell him. That's not their business plan. This is a little different, but there's like a parallel between how like athletes in a way get sold. And so technically you could have a plan of like just being the better than anyone else at developing talent and getting the best soccer players in your program who, again, you're going to miss on many of them, but when you hit one, you get this $10 million check like all these MLS teams do when they sell one of their diamonds in the rough to a European team. This is you invest the infrastructure of the academy, which is your own distribution system that's, again, invest more than any other distributor because you're about the big check, and then you work on the next, just like venture capital, just like some similarities to like being an incubator. You know, you're going to incubate some companies that are going to fail. It's not about.
So here's
everyone being
a
hit.
stupid question that makes no sense unless you wanted to
No,
go,
go ahead.
Mr. Iswasner. Cool. So once you put in all this money up front, you could get a big. So it's kind of like you won the lottery, right? One of these breweries that you put all this time and effort and salesmanship into makes it big.
Yeah.
You hit the lottery. You can either take the upfront cash, which is to sell out, or with the lottery, you can get an annual payout for more, right? More overall money.
Like an annuity or something.
An annuity. Why wouldn't you do this for your what it's for the funds distribution? Why wouldn't you do that and just keep it and grow it? Because it's
Well, that's kind of what the payout usually is. It's a projection on the next X multiple years of, sales. Is it in perpetuity? Typically, no. But I think anything's on the table. I think we're
Okay.
open to working out how we don't. I'm not here
Maybe
to
don't
figure
sell
out
it.
how every contract works, and every brand could negotiate a different deal.
Okay.
Some could be a one-time pay, wipe your hands of it, we're done. Others could be a royalty coming back. I know Mr. Is Wonderful loves a good royalty deal. So I think, we'd be developing a portfolio and future revenue streams. And, I think it kind of depends on, each one would be a case-by-case basis. But in every case, though, the plan would be to nurture these brands, get them to the next level, but then send them off to the big leagues. We're not trying to keep players in AAA because we love them forever. We know that they're ready for the big time, and we're just looking for really one, maybe two big hits a year, and all the money, it all works. We all get rich.
So would we be investing in the development of these players? Like, are we going to help them learn how to upgrade and use new equipment, train their staff to make better beer,
That's
package?
a great question. Yes.
Because we're really kind of taking a flyer on the idea that they're gonna like know how to keep making good beer.
I love it. Yeah, we're going to have our own dedicated marketing team that's going to be kind of resources for them. You know, not every brewery has like a film crew to make a cool, like, you know, multi-part
They don't?
video story.
The
of
Cork and Cage family brands, they all have a film
but our
crew.
local craft breweries don't have those kind of resources, but
That's
we would,
terrible.
and we'd be able to make them explode with better content, getting that content on the phones of all the craft beer fans in the area where we would be destroying them. We'd have an edge on all of that, and we'd be able to, again, set the brand on fire, not just the sales, but we'd be able to make the whole brand get to the next level. That's the idea behind RN Distro.
That name just doesn't roll off the tongue. Doesn't seem to make sense. I would go with a more proven name myself. Anyway,
That would be
I'm like Flunz or Bluns.
Blunds. Yeah, Blunds is rig inspires a lot of power and a lot
Yeah.
of belief in Blunds.
It's a family name.
Yeah, it's a family name. Big Phillies fans.
Yeah. So, well, so it's basically a lower margin distributor that helps or starts off lower margin, but you're hoping for a big payoff.
They sell high.
They sell high, and they're not. They're going to the craps tables, putting it on, the sections instead of just red or
They
black
know
or
when to
something.
walk away.
Right.
And let the big dog take over.
Got it.
Very,
Okay.
very calculated on that. They're not going to overhold and then watch their chip stack dwindle.
Got
They're gonna
it.
sell at the right time.
Okay. All right.
It's like the new dust coin.
Yeah. Well, I've made my second or third billion on Dustcoin.
That's right.
My third naked billion. I separate out my naked billions and my clothed billions.
Don't
that
we
I've
all
made.
though?
I don't know. I do.
Yeah.
So my second or third naked billion was in Dustcoin.
That's how it should be.
Yeah. Buck nude.
Buck nude.
I remember I was buck nude.
In your office watching it go up to $1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. I wasn't laying down. I was
No, you're kind of crouched behind the desk.
Yeah, I was in like a crouched kind of like
Full
with my
lotus.
hands. Yeah, full lotus, like crouched like that. Yeah, like a catcher. I looked like a catcher,
Yeah.
kind of just waiting for that billion to come in.
Becoming a billionaire.
Yeah, my whole staff was in the room with me.
you got to have them.
Yeah,
You have your team in there.
yep.
Can't do it alone.
I said, crank up the heat. I want to sweat. I want to sweat this one out.
It's a dodgeball quote.
I don't know. Never seen that movie. Anyway, I love the idea. I think we're going to have a bidding war here. So I'm willing to offer you, this is going to take a lot of money. Okay.
Yes, up front.
But what I've found, I work with a lot of artists. And what I have found with my work with artists is what they like for their work more than money is to attach my
Exposure.
name to it. Exposure, exactly. So there will be no money, but you will receive total consciousness in terms of on your deathbed because of your relationship to me. So I will take 10%. That's all I want. And then you can use the Cubano sandwich name in any way you want. Just use it and abuse it. I don't care. I just want 10%, and no money, which would sully it, and it wouldn't be as good for you in the end. Really, what you want is the exposure. Trust me, I work with artists. I know this stuff. That's my offer. All right, and any other offers?
I'm in for equity. I'm in for a probably a $4 to $6 bazillion investment. However, on the condition that the name change from RN Distro to the Farmhouse by Cork and Cage
Farmhouse or farm to table?
Farmhouse.
Farmhouse.
The Farmhouse by Cork and Cage.
By Cork and Cage.
The Farmhouse. What is that? Is that a place? No, it's just it's a distribution company.
Do they do
Where is
saisons?
it? Oh, it's just a warehouse.
In
You
the
can't
middle of the
really go
city,
there. You can't go there. It's
in
a
Pilsen.
it's a service.
Back
the
of the yards.
Farmhouse. Wait, the Farmhouse by Cork and Cage is a service? Mm-hmm. I love it.
Yeah.
It's going to get people talking.
Oh, of course.
I will not invest.
Wow. Wow.
Very snarky. from
Wow. So you've only you've only put $1 gajillion on the line today for that first one, the
Yeah,
BPS.
my $1 gajillion is more than all your bazillion dollars you put up.
Well, first of all,
Or your name.
right, my name, please. The Cubano sandwich
The art
name.
the art of the snark from this guy over here. Your book's
Yeah.
not selling as well you thought it would.
My book is selling very well. I self-published, and you don't know how much I've sold, and I sold a lot.
Yeah. So many a lots.
So many, a lots.
Big lots.
Yeah, I mean,
It's a good outlet.
Mr. Is or was Nerful. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, it's a good day. Phil's lead the World Series 2-1, and I do want to take a moment to talk about a few branding. Let's close things out. All right, there's a few things that I want to talk about. One is the fact that I just want to let people know that I'm drinking this beer called Spite Light. This beer, in addition to the beer I was talking about earlier, the Stomstitch, is
Rocks.
really good.
Yeah, rocks.
It is, I think, as good a session IPA, I guess you could call it,
It's the best.
that I've ever had.
This is the second time in like 8 shows we've talked about how good this beer is.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Yes. So I really, really like this beer. I hope they keep making it. The second thing I want to talk about is an upcoming book deal we have. Speaking of books, I know you're getting down on me and books. I know you're anti-book. You don't like reading. You don't like literacy. That whole anti-literacy
so many other podcasts you can listen to
campaign
and
that
read.
you're on.
Yeah. Literacy is for the birds.
Right.
Is there a book on tape?
Yeah, it's read by me.
Wait, so you read? I thought you were anti-reading.
No, I read the book on tape.
I thought you were
but I don't
illiterate.
read it. Someone says it to
Didn't
me.
you say in your book, it starts out, I'm illiterate.
Someone says it to me, and I say it into the mic.
Oh, got it. You're a ghostwriter.
No, I'm a ghost reader.
You're a ghost reader.
Yeah, I
no,
also
you're a
wrote the
ghost
book,
writer. Okay,
How is this confusing to anyone?
right. All I know is that you're famously illiterate.
Yes. Never read a book in my life.
Can't read.
Can't.
Yeah,
Can't stop, won't stop reading. Or can't start, won't start reading.
exactly. Can't start, won't start.
Yeah. Letters, never heard of them.
Well, you're going to have a tough one, but we are having a book club.
What's that?
What is a book?
It's like a
or
golf
what is a
club
book
with a
club?
book on it?
Yeah, it's like a country club, except everyone reads a book. And we're going to have it about a book. There's a writer called Josh Noel, and he wrote a book on
Christmas guy.
barrel. Yep. And he wrote a book about barrel-aged stouts and selling out, which is the part that you're
What's it called?
into.
Into that.
Barrel-aged stouts and selling out.
Make some
Yeah,
money.
it's about that, and he called it that.
Well, that is really
Wild,
helpful.
right?
Yeah, big time.
You even need to read a synopsis.
Yeah, right.
I already got it.
You got it in the
Someone
title.
will read the synopsis to me, and I'll read it into the book recorder.
Right. Well, I'm into reading. You're into selling out. So I figured it would be, there'd be some synergies there. So we have that coming up. To all the people out there, pick up a copy if you haven't already read it. It's a great book. I've read it aloud to Mr. Iswasnerful, and you said it was one of the
And
most
I recorded it in the
entertaining
book recorder.
books that you've ever heard.
Yeah.
Right?
One of the best narratives that anyone's ever read aloud to myself about books.
Yeah.
And then I read into the book recorder.
So, right, exactly. I remember that. So that episode is coming up. That is at the end of this month, November. It's November 22nd is when we're recording that show. So if you guys have
January
any...
5th. I'm just kidding.
No, we are recording it that day, so people need to get us any
Just
sort of...
questions.
Yes, questions, letters. We've been getting some in, so thank you. So that would go to insiders at snarktank.com.
Yeah, check the...
Or send it to Snark Tank. Send it to...
Snark
if you're
Tank
going to write it...
Avenue.
Yeah, or have one of your people write it. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you're high net worth. You're not doing that stuff. So you can send it to the Snark Tank or to Mr. Is Wonderful, to Ms. Cork and Cage, Mr. Shiesty. He'll... we'll...
De-shiced.
Or to Mr. Cubano Sandwich Jr. Or to my dad. Send it to my dad. I don't care. That would be at 3173 North Elston Avenue in Chicago, Illinois, 60618. That is the Snark Tank. It's a giant tank.
It's out back.
But we do have
underneath Edmar's apartment.
It's a huge tank, basically. That's 3173 North Elston Avenue. So any letter about anything, any pitches you have for ideas, you could send there.
Please send pitches. That would be great.
Yeah, send them. Really good ones.
Half-baked, fully baked, unbaked.
Yeah.
All of them.
Yeah.
We'll hone them up for you.
So that I just wanted to get that out of the way. Some housekeeping. So Snarks, is there anything you want to say before we get out of here? Mr. Shiesty, unprecedented 3 straight pitches. We've never had that in the history of the show. First time for everything. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
It was an honor, and I look forward to partnering with Ms. Cork and Cage on Farmhouse Distro.
Oh,
By Cork
I was
and
trying
Cage.
to...
Farmhouse
By
Distro
Cork and
by
Cage.
Cork and Cage.
You know what? You made a huge mistake. I'm telling you, taking money on this is a bad call. This is hugely money intensive, I know. The gazillion dollars, or bazillion, sorry.
4 to 6 bazillion.
Right. I missed the...
Are there incentives in that?
That's
Yeah.
between me and Mr. Shiesty.
That's right.
Right.
You made your deal.
Between 4 and 6, depending on... Yeah.
How many corks? How many cages?
Right.
How many farms? How many houses?
Still
Right.
can't believe you
The
didn't take
Farmhouse
my
by
idea.
Cork and Cage. And there's no actual physical... There's no brick and... There's no physical location, I assume, right?
There's the farmhouse.
Okay, which is what, a warehouse that is not open to the
Again,
public?
it's
Stop,
between,
stop trying to decimate the magic
Between
they've
me
created.
and my business partner, Mr. Shiesty.
Okay. No, I'm just trying
You
to
gotta buy
understand
in.
it.
If you want the deets, you gotta buy in.
Got it. You want to know the answers? Pay me. If you want to know, yeah.
That's what I've been saying
It's
my
not
whole
called
career.
Minnow Tank for a
No,
reason.
no minnows.
It's not
Only
called Friendly
snarks.
Tank.
Yeah.
Only snarks.
Then just share all our ideas so we can hone them and make them better at Tank.
Right. Mr. Shiesty, thank you very much. Mr. Is Wonderful. Anything you want to say before you go? You've been very snarky today. You must be feeling good.
Very, very snarky.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be so snarky. I just didn't think there'd be so many bad ideas.
Oh, love it. Love it. Man, that turns me on. In a platonic way.
As it always does in a platonic way.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much. Hold on. Oh, no. Oh, wait, no. Never mind.
Play the Snark Tank.
Everything is
theme.
fine.
Play us
Everything
out.
is fine.
Surge, save
All
us.
right.
Surge.
There we go.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.